Alright, here we go. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Canadian Protoss. He is red, representing Team Alpha X. It is TriGGeR. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Brazilian Zerg player. Oh, as he just asked. Best of three. The Brazilian Zerg player representing the CranKy Ducklings, the best Zerg player in all of Latin America. We have Erik. Step it up, Cham. Step it up. I love you, Cham, by the way. I love you. And for those wondering, Cham, he is usually the king, the champion of Battle of the Americas. But this year, he hasn't been anywhere near as active in these tournaments, and that is because he, that is because Cham is in Korea. He is in the land of the rising sun. I think that's Japan, actually, but he is in Korea right now, at the moment. So yeah, that does mean that the Cham, he can't really compete in these events anymore, and he's focusing on improving as a player. Meanwhile, shout out to Gustavo. For those wondering, Gustavo is the Brazilian, the Portuguese caster, and he's also cheering for Erik, cheering for his countrymen. So a little bit of an Erik bias here, but at the same time, like, I have to fully understand, or I fully understand that TriGGeR is a very strong Protoss player. There's a reason why TriGGeR was able to take down Ryu. He is no pushover by any means. One of the best Protoss in North America. And once again, Erik going for the fast third hatchery and delaying his gas. Bold moves, mate, bold moves. So I have to really wonder how TriGGeR responds to this. I was talking about this earlier in the broadcast, how if a Protoss player sees this, you can abuse this. Because the gases are so late, you can go for Glaive Adepts, and go for an Oracle as well, and just like kind of overwhelm your opponents. And I mean, Erik, his roaches are going to be so late, his lings are going to be so weak against what TriGGeR has. And Ruichi, he was a player who kind of scouted a little bit but didn't really recognize what was happening. I do believe that TriGGeR is a bit of a better player here compared to Ruichi, so maybe he can approach this in a different manner. As he is going for that Stargate opening, and we'll see where he goes from here. If he does transition into a Twilight Council and go into Glaive Adepts. At the same time, 2000 Atmospheres is a very good map for Skytoss, so it's hard to say what TriGGeR is going to go for here. He does scout once again with his Adept. And, ooh, it is a Void Ray first. Interesting. So Void Ray is going to be coming out here for TriGGeR, going to be zooming across the map. At the same time, we have two Adepts trying to be as annoying as possible, but there are Lings here. They can deal with them, but the Adepts do commit to the shade. And we'll see how many drone kills they're going to get. Already two, getting a third. Only three. So a decent trade for TriGGeR, not the worst loss for Erik. Less than ideal though, less than ideal. And TriGGeR actually working on his second Void Ray. Oh my. So we'll see what TriGGeR has in store for us, because against Ryu there was a build that he went for, a fast robotics bay. Sorry, a fast robo into a robotics bay, if you recall, to get disruptors out to help protect his Void Rays. Is that something that he's going to go for again, or is he going to do something a little bit more standard and throw down, yep, Twilight Council and that Forge? Most likely going to be working towards going for charge and +1. There are some Protoss players that do go for +1 Blink Stalkers, but usually that's off the back of Oracles, not Void Rays, as the Void Rays do take up a lot of gas. Speaking of, the Void Rays are moving out across the map. We do have two so far out here roaming, trying to clean up whatever vision there is. Lings do get picked off. And there is that charge and +1. So again, a very solid start here. Ooh. This is interesting. Going straight into a Templar Archives to go charge Lot Archon. Okay, okay. I see you. I see you. And we'll see how well this will do here. Meanwhile, Erik, he's just kind of been chilling at home. He's just been droning up, fully saturated on 3 bases, working on +1 melee again, and I kind of like the +1 melee. It does do well against disruptors. Not against Charge Lot Archon though, and oh my god, he wants to go into mutas. And this could work out well. The fast reaction response to mutas are Blink Stalkers, right? Like, you can warp them in and they can kind of deal with mutas to begin with, at least in small numbers. But there aren't going to be any here for TriGGeR. He will have access to Archons with that Templar Archive, Templar Archives, but Archons aren't ideal either, just because of how immobile they are. Meanwhile, we have a massive gateway explosion coming in here from TriGGeR. He's working on that massive, we're gonna soon be working on that massive Charge Lot Archon composition. And if he does push out with it, Erik, he may not have enough to defend. Like, you need Roaches and Lings, maybe even Banelings. But the problem is that Erik, he's saving all of his resources to go into mutas, and that could kill him. As in, he could kill himself by not using his resources. Meanwhile, here we go. Here comes the push. TriGGeR going out across the map. The War Prism is done to reinforce this army, and I don't think Erik is ready. Oh god, he does respond with his queens and his roaches. He does now spot the army. Aye, more roaches are on the way. The Baneling Nest is not ready. And immediately all the Lings do go down. The Zealots are getting on top of the Queens and the Roaches. The Archon's doing so much damage in the back line. Same with the Void Rays. The Queens are trying to focus on the Void Rays and they will get one of them. The Roaches look like they may be able to clean up these Zealots, but oh my god. The Zealots just mowing through everything here. The second Void Ray does go down, but another Morphin of Zealots. This looks like it's going to be too much. Erik was too greedy with that Spire. He did not scout what his opponent was doing. Erik had no idea, as we can see here. He had no idea what was in the main base. And Erik gets caught with his pants down. Zealots get all over the natural base as well. 16 drones do fall, and it looks like this is going to be the end of our Brazilian player, at least here in game 1. GG gets called, and TriGGeR takes the first game in this best of 3 series. And because this is a best of 3 and not a best of 5, immediately TriGGeR is on match point. And please punish For Sure's. I mean, For Sure's, he knows he's being punished, mate. It's one of those things where I do see, like, do 4 drones really matter? They really do, to be honest. Any worker kill matters in this matchup, or against Zerg in general, just because of the way their production works, right? All of their production comes from the hatcheries, from the larva. And ideally, you want to be working on, or spending that larva on workers to begin with, get to a high enough worker count, and then you can kind of comfortably switch into creating army. And any worker that you have to remake means that, hey, you're not making any army units, you're not making roaches, you're not making lings, you're not making any buildings, you're kind of like being put further and further behind. So that does add up over time, depending on how many drone kills you get early on, especially in the early game. In the early game, when you barely have any drones to begin with to bolster your economy, like, losing drones hurts so much and things can snowball. To be fair, this game wasn't dictated by the loss of those drones. It was more of Erik being in the dark, not scouting his opponent and realizing what was coming his way until it was far too late. Like, he was already committed to the Spire. He had a Baneling Nest on the way, but by the time the attack came, the Baneling Nest was not done. He just, again, he reacted and responded, but a little bit too late. And with that, TriGGeR takes game 1, and now we are diving into game number 2. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Jaganatha LE, we have the Canadian Protoss. He is red, representing Team Alpha X, already up 1-0 in this best of 3 finals. We have TriGGeR. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Jaganatha LE, we have our Brazilian Zerg player representing the CranKy Ducklings, but up against the wall. Oh my. Can he bring it back here? Can he bring it to the ace match? It is Erik. We'll see what the plan is here for Erik right now, going for this hatch first. We'll see if he delays his gases again or if he goes for another fast third hatchery. I don't necessarily think that the opener came into play too much there in game number 1. It wasn't like TriGGeR was punishing that too much. Meanwhile, TriGGeR just being a little bit cheeky here. He doesn't have a forge, but he's acting like it. Trying to force a response. Erik just going for his hatch pool opening. Still no gases taken yet. And yeah, Erik going for another fast third hatchery. Sending out his drone. Interesting decision here by Erik. Oh, interesting placement as well. Going for the forward third base. Oh my. And we'll see if this is indicative of how Erik wants to play this out. If he wants to be in the face of TriGGeR. Meanwhile, TriGGeR, once again, he sees, mate, where are your gases? Your gases are non-existent, mate. And will TriGGeR do something about this? We do have a bit of a Maynard here as they are being transferred towards the natural base. So far, TriGGeR waiting for his Cybercore to finish up before his tech of choice. And what will that tech be? As pretty interesting, TriGGeR actually cancelled his Adept and switched to Stalker. His priority right now is to kill this Overlord and then throw down his tech structure and keep it hidden. We do have it. Oh, okay. Nice choice. Stargate gets thrown down in the natural, out of sight and out of mind from that Overlord. But at the same time, we do have 2 Lings heading across the map. These Lings, they should see the wall. He should see the Stargate. As this Overlord will be dealt with, and the Lings do not get into the main base, they do not get into the natural even, but they do scout the Stargate anyway, so Erik knows what the opener will be here from TriGGeR, and Erik once again just delaying that gas. So greedy, just relying on Queens to defend. And because it's a Stargate opener, he can get away with this. Like, Erik, all you need is Queens right now. As long as you don't lose too many drones to the Adepts. As a couple of Adepts are being morphed in. Our J Skater was talking about not making gas. So when you don't make gas like this, it does leave you vulnerable because you don't have link speed. My mistake, guys, J Skater, my mistake. So what this does is, again, like, you skip out on your early gas, you don't get link speed, and that doesn't secure you early on. It delays your Roach Warren as well. So if TriGGeR did go for something like a more dedicated Glaive Adept push, then Erik would have a much harder time defending against something like that. Just because everything would be so delayed. And again, he's just relying on Queens to defend, which is great against Stargate openers, not so much against Twilight Council openers. But thankfully, because Erik knows that it is a Stargate, like, he's fine against this. My, as we have a second Stargate on the way as well. Oh boy, here come the Void Rays. Also, shout out to Yoda Slim in the chat, exclamation mark, Funada Yoda. Erik is not washed up, mate. What are you on about? Hashtag Cham washed up. Kappa. Oh god, as the Void Rays are trying to focus down this first Queen. Nice micro so far. It was a little bit dangerous because the Queens don't have enough energy for any transfuses, but the micro was good enough. Erik was able to pull back and keep his Queen alive. And we'll see if Erik is as greedy as last game, right? Is he going to go straight into Spire again? We don't see any upgrades yet on the Evo Chamber, but we do have a decent amount of Queens on the way. So he could be looking to go for a big Roach Ravager Queen all-in. And there are no disruptors, there's no robo whatsoever, so there are no immortals. Like, it's very possible for Erik to make this push work. And we'll see. I'm waiting for Roach Speed to start immediately. We'll see, we'll see. There it is. Lair finishes up. We have Roach Speed and +1 range. Erik is going to be committed to... never mind. Because we also have Aspire. Erik is just getting everything, mate. He just doesn't even care. He's like, you know what? I want all the... throw down the Hydrogen. Throw down an Infestation. Just do it. I know you want to, mate. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about this Spire. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Like, these Void Rays are still threatening. They actually didn't head towards the third base, though. Thankfully for Erik. Erik is pushing out across the map with his Lings and Roaches. No Queens, though. And these Void Rays, yeah, they're gonna just shut this down. Aye. Void Rage just going to town on all these Roaches. They all get cleaned up. But what I will say is that because TriGGeR hasn't scattered the tech and things look pretty normal here from Erik, this Spire could catch him off guard. Like, if the mutas are able to get across the map undetected, they can just completely annihilate a mineral line. And if there are enough mutas, they can even go toe-to-toe with these Void Rays. Void Rays are not ideal against mutas. Oh no, you know what else is not? No, Erik is supply blocked. Oh god, he has so much gas, but he's forced to make 3 Overlords at a time. He was about to make like 50 mutas. Aye. Supply block feels bad, man. Feels bad. So the mutas are going to come out a little bit staggered. Ooh, and these Void Rays are actually dealing some damage. One of the Queens does go down, fighting out of range of the Spores. Mutas are coming out, but again, it's going to take a while for that muta count to really get into full force. Again, Erik has so much gas, but he's supply blocked again. Oh god. Erik, he's playing like light right now. 5 Overlords on the way. Oh god. Alright, Erik, he's zooming across the map, but the mutas have been, I guess TriGGeR, he knows what's up. We do have some stack defense being thrown down, but you know what? It's not fast enough. These mutas, they can focus down the cannons before they're done. When instead, oh, they do go for one of the cannons. They will get them. He does not get the shield battery though, and instead forces a recall from these Void Rays. And the mutas have dealt some decent damage. 10 probes have gone down, a cannon, a shield battery, not game-ending damage, but he does keep TriGGeR on the back foot. At the same time, the Lings and the Roaches are trying to be useful for once as they're going across the map, trying to hit one of these bases, but the defensive position is just so good here. So many cannons, shield battery, overcharge. Protoss sitting back pretty good here on 4 bases. Oh no, the Roaches are gonna read. No, they're gonna run into the Void Rays. Okay, oh, the Void Rays actually back off. Mutas do distract him a little bit as they do dive on top of the cannons. They will force a reaction from these Void Rays, and that does mean that the Roaches will have an opening. Mutas again doing a decent job, hasn't really dealt too much economic damage. Meanwhile, here come the Lings and the Roaches. Stores being thrown down on the Roaches. That is not ideal. The High Templar get focused down. Oh my god, you do not want to see Storms on Roaches. They're just so tanky. They do tank all of the Storms. They overpower the ground army here. The Void Rays finally show up. The Void Rays will clean this up, but how much more damage is going to be dealt before that happens? Ooh. Oh, can I get the Stargate? No, instead they do back off at the same time. Mutas, ooh, the mutas were on a move a little bit there, and a couple of mutas actually go down. 1, 2, 4 kills on these cannons. But Erik, he's droning up. He's sitting back fine. He's taking a 5th base because why the hell not? He's also taking up Hive is done. Ultra Cavern is on the way. Oh my god, we see a beautiful surround. This would have been amazing if there was some Ravagers here to bile on the army. Regardless, he will trade beautifully here. The High Templar count reset once again. And you may be wondering, but what about the Sky Toss? What about the Void Rays? Well, the Spire was done earlier, and you can do more than just make mutas from that Spire. As we have Corruptors on the way. +1 flyer attack is done as well. And with that hive also come Vipers. Erik doesn't necessarily have the army supply, like the ideal army supply here, as he's not quite maxed out, but he has enough. He can contend against his army. Thankfully, TriGGeR does have some High Templar. He can feed back those Vipers. Go on, we'll see if it's going to be enough. We'll see if it even matters. God, if we do see a yoink. Oh, doesn't get the Void Ray. Finally, a second. Oh my god, that Void Ray just does not die. Jesus Christ. And meanwhile, the feedbacks do land. TriGGeR is able to defend. Erik really respecting this army. Unfortunately, not going back home with those injured Vipers, as they don't have any energy whatsoever at the moment. Looks like he's trying to catch a carrier as they come out. Maybe he will. He's gonna force TriGGeR to respond though. There we go. We do have a parasitic bomb, but it was on one of the fringe Void Rays. And enough time has passed where TriGGeR is catching up. Banelings do crash in on static defense though. The Ultras are going to be able to break through into the 4th base. Maybe I spoke too soon. Get in there. The Mineral Line. Oh god. At the same time, there we go. Finally, one of the carriers that does come out of the Stargate does get picked off here. And the Ultras are finally getting into that Mineral Line, finally getting some of those probe kills. God, and the storms are connecting, but Erik a little bit ambitious. He does tank a lot of storms. He kills another carrier, but wasn't able to pick off the 3rd. Meanwhile, it looks like the Ultras have done their job. The Lings are flooding in here, and that Nexus can easily be focused down. There it is. The 4th does fall. Erik, sitting back and taking a 6th base because, again, why the hell not? He's looking pretty here. Corruptors are on the way. Ultras as well. He is remaxing, remaking his army, and TriGGeR cannot afford these losses. He's stuck on 3-base economy. He just lost his 4th. As these fights go on, if Erik just trades efficiently every time, then TriGGeR will just slowly fall behind. As this Immortal was stuck. This Immortal was stuck in there in the natural. TriGGeR may even opt to double expand here. Does take this triangular 3rd base location as his 4th. Lings go for a bit of a run by. They do run into these Zealots. We'll be able to clean them up. At the same time, Corruptors, they want to get on top of this Sky Toss. Has to be careful. You got to respect the Void Rays. Ooh, but the Parasitic Bomb does land. Oh god, but the feedbacks are just so on point. There were no Ultras here to punish these High Templar. Queen. Meanwhile, oh my god, the storms connect, so do the feedbacks as well. Oh my god, this is probably the best fight that TriGGeR could hope for. At the same time, he did lose all of his High Templar. He lost everything on the ground, but he has so many carriers. And without Vipers, it's so difficult to engage this army. TriGGeR, is he gonna do it? He could. Mate, 3 bases is all you need. Oh my god, feels Protoss, man. As here comes TriGGeR pushing through the center of the map. He wants to kill his opponent. Spores are on the way, but they're not done yet. Here come the carriers and the Void Rays. Every single one of these spores is going to be focused on before they finish up. Looks like some of them will just barely complete, but oh my god, they need to fight with Corruptors. Speaking of, that Corruptor count is slowly getting higher and higher. Erik is biding his time for one big attack. At the same time, Ultralist run by does kill the 4th base, once again keeping TriGGeR on 3 bases. But again, this Sky Toss army, this almost death ball is terrifying. We have another run by here at the 3rd base. So TriGGeR could lose another base. Again, that Corruptor count is getting incredibly high. What's important? There's no High Templar. There's no Storm available for TriGGeR. These Corruptors can just focus down the Void Rays. Sorry, the carriers one at a time. But that's a lot of carriers. That is a lot of carriers. Thankfully, the Void Rays are being distracted by these Ultras. Here come the Corruptors and the Vipers. Just waiting for the opportunity to just pounce on this army. Show me the yoinks. No yoinks. Parasitic Bomb instead. Oh, does power bomb the army. The Corruptors stack on top of the Parasitic Bomb. Every single Interceptor goes down as talking BRBs and as TriGGeR will GG. Every single carrier does, oh my god, almost every single carrier goes down. A couple of them do get evacuated to the main base with that recall, but that was a massive loss. The third base did go down. TriGGeR stuck on 2 bases. That was a beautiful play there by Erik, by the way. When you parasitic bomb the carriers and stack on top of them, the parasitic bomb AoE is enough to kill all the interceptors. The interceptor count was essentially reset when that happened, and the Corruptors were able to focus down whatever Void Rays and carriers there were left. That is something that you can stop if you have High Templar with Storm. But there were no Storms. There were no High Templar. Or Archons even. Archons are probably better, actually. But TriGGeR did not have a ground army. And TriGGeR, he's holding on for dear life, but what's he really holding on to right now? Nothing, mate. As that corrupted count is still massive. We do need a ground army to deal with the Archons and the Stalkers. But Erik, he's also making a couple of Ultras here and there. Just a little bit supply blocked, unfortunately. Oh boy, there we go. TriGGeR is pushing deep into creep. He is all in. He has half the supply of his opponent. There's no way this works. We have a massive surround coming in here from Erik. Parasitic bombs once again on the carriers. And every single interceptor will go down. Oh my god, barely anything remaining. And Erik ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. We have our ace match. Erik fights back. And honestly, he was kind of in the driver's seat. Throughout most of that game. Can he close it out? That is the big question. Or can TriGGeR bring it back? I feel like a lot of it may come down to the map here. As, oh my god, game number 3 is gonna be on Blackburn. Here we go. Shout out to Skater, by the way. Gonna take a nap for ANZ Champs. ANZ Champs is right around the corner. ANZ Champs is in 4.5 hours, I believe. Yep, it does start in 4.5 hours. Oh boy. And I need to leave in 1 hour, which is still plenty of time. We still have time here to finish up the grand finals of Battle of the Americas. Cutting it a little bit close, but it should be perfectly fine. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackburn ALE, we have the Canadian Protoss. He is red, representing Team Alpha X. It is TriGGeR. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Blackburn ALE, we have the Brazilian Zerg player representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is Erik. Going for the pool first. Oh my god. Let's go. We are here. We have made it to the grand finals. We may have a Duckling champion here if all goes well. Meanwhile, shout out to Sammy Garbaham in the chat. It's been a while since I've seen you here, buddy. Oh my god. But Erik, he's committed to this, by the way. He is on one base. He's throwing down that pool. He throws down the gas as well. TriGGeR, he's checking the gold base just in case. It's possible that there is maybe another hidden hatchery. We know where the hatchery is. It is in the natural of TriGGeR. Let's go. TriGGeR is responding to this. You know, he does pull a couple of boys. You do need a couple more probes though to really deal with this. He is crowing out his Zealot. The Zealot isn't too far off from being produced, and the Lings are flooding across the map. Or they should be. Let's go. So we'll see if Erik can break through the natural here, or if Erik decides to kind of back off and expand. Oh, yo, he's looking to take the gold. Let's go. This makes so much sense. Again, Erik, he's not looking to kill his opponents. He's looking to cripple his opponents and then macro up behind this with the gold base. Lings are flooding across the map. The wall should be a wall. The probe is ready to quickly wall off if need be. There it is. Shield battery gets thrown down. Hatchery does get denied. The Lings are slowly going to chip away at this, but there are now two Zealots. With two Zealots, TriGGeR should be perfectly fine. He should be able to micro past this, but the Lings, they make it in. Oh my god, the Zealots, they were not there. They were not as a part of the wall. They were a little bit too ambitious, and the Lings do get into the main base. We'll see what they can get done here. Again, these are slow Lings, so the likelihood of them really getting probe kills isn't very high, but they're keeping the attention of TriGGeR here in the main base as opposed to across the map. Oh my god. I didn't even notice. Erik threw down another hatchery in the main base of TriGGeR. Because why the hell not, mate? This has been spotted by TriGGeR, but TriGGeR actually hasn't responded to this. Meanwhile, oh my god, more Lings actually flood in. Ooh, Erik a little bit indecisive, but Link Speed does finally kick in, and now with Link Speed, he can try and get into the mineral line. Oh, he has to be careful not to be surrounded. The Adepts, again, shaving away these Lings. More Lings do go down, but more Lings are actually flooding across the map. Erik has to be careful. He has to survive long enough for this hatchery to finish up so he can start those queens. And oh my god, the Lings actually show up. He takes down the probe, and now the Adept is going to go down as well. Once again, the Lings make it into the natural base. Is this the biggest of deals? I mean, now that the hatchery is done, drones can be made, spines can be made. Oh, and now the Lings are dealing a lot of damage here. 3 probes do go down. They could even try and go for a surround on this Stalker. Meanwhile, instead he goes straight for the shield battery. Shield battery is going to go down. The Zealots are just having such a hard time keeping up with this, and yo, this could be it. Erik, he's going to be able to break through the wall once again, and now the Lings are going to flood in. There's barely anything here left to defend. The boys are forced off the line. With those boys and with the warping of Adepts, it looks like the Adepts should be able to clean this up, but oh my god, just this reinforcement point is so disgusting. The Queen is here. Immediately, the Zealot does go down. The Lings are trying to get us around on these Adepts. They will get one of the Adepts, and they will also get the Stalker as well. Yes, they do. There is no escape for said Stalker. More Lings are flooding in. TriGGeR was so on point by walling off, by the way. He threw down that pylon immediately, so the Lings don't make it in here. TriGGeR was well aware of that possibility. And so far, he's holding on for now, just barely. Maybe he can get the Queen. Oh, doesn't get the Queen. Another Queen actually pops out. Oh my god, that Maynard, by the way. Oh, and the Lings are trying to get us around on these Adepts, and they trap the Adepts. One of them does go down, and the other will just barely escape. Oh my god, that was so close. And the problem is that, like, TriGGeR just doesn't have the production. He has 2 gateways right now. Every now and then he can warp in 2 units at a time, and that's all he has going for him. Meanwhile, we have the Swarm here, ready to break through the natural base. It looks like he's trying to focus down the Cyber Core. The Cyber Core is so close as well. The shield battery will fall. So will the Cyber Core. The Queens are still standing strong. They are actually able to get a transfuse off. And there it is. No more Cyber Core. That means no more Stalkers or Adepts. Only Zealots. Oh my god, the shield battery just barely finishes up. Overcharge is being used, but the shield battery gets focused down. And with this, I feel like Erik has finally broken his opponents. He's broken TriGGeR. TriGGeR did so well today, making it to the grand finals, and I thought maybe he could be the Battle of the Americas champion once again. But Erik says no. The natural does fall. there are a couple of gateway units here to defend, and you know what? There are shield batteries as well, so maybe TriGGeR can make one final stand here. But there are just so many lings, there's so much DPS. The Void Ray does come out, and that will make a difference. Oh god, but will it be enough of a difference? SimCity again is pretty good here. Very nice control by TriGGeR. He is trading as efficiently as possible, but even then it just comes down to a numbers game. GG gets called, and Erik is our Battle of the Americas champion. And will I press the right button? I will. GG, well played. Again, as a reminder, this was a best of 3, not a best of 5 grand finals. The players did agree to it before the series started. And after an intense game 1 and game 2, Erik does close it out. And he is our champion. Congratulations, Erik. Congratulations to CranKy Ducklings. As I could be wrong, but I think this is Erik's first Battle of the Americas championship. I will have to double check that, but Erik, he isn't really known for showing up to Battle of the Americas just because of how active Cham was in the past. And I know Erik has had some unlucky brackets in the past couple of weeks. So yeah, GG, well played, Erik. Well deserved. We had some solid macro games and we had some nice cheese to top it all off. And with that, I also want to give a bit of a shout out to all the other players, you know, who made it into the top 4. Jim Rising, Ryu, also TriGGeR making it all the way to the finals. He does walk away with some money as well. Shout out to Lord Logan. He boosted the prize pool by 35 USD. Thank you so much. And if you haven't already, !Matcherino in the chat. And you can use code NAVLA57 to add $1 for free to the prize pool. I believe all the codes have been used up, but in case they haven't, you know, do check out that Matcherino page. And with that, we have closed out this tournament. And we are done here on the CranKy Ducklings, but I'm not done casting today. I'm merely halfway through. For those wondering, in 4.5 hours, ANZ Champs Day 2 will go live. I'm going to be casting that live from the studio in Sydney alongside Luke, who's going to be hosting, and Maynard, who's going to be coming in or showing up remotely, joining me remotely even from Adelaide. And yes, I'm going to be casting alongside Maynard for Day 2. Day 1 honestly was pretty good. I'm very happy with how Day 1 turned out. Obviously, there are improvements that can be made, especially when it came to things, you know, outside of game. Even in game, I did make like a mistake or two during casting. It wasn't the biggest of deals. I think I said like an 11 pool at some point, when what I really meant to say was a 12-11. When it came to like the possibilities of an opener and a ZVZ. I believe between Oreo and Mighty Kiwi. So yeah, I do remember I slipped up a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I'm very happy with how it turned out. We got a lot of positive feedback. We had a lot of viewership as well. So yeah, if you want to continue to, if you haven't had your fill of StarCraft, ANZ Champs is in 4.5 hours. I'm going to be leaving soon as well. I have to go and get ready. I have to get changed and grab some food and just zoom out there and be there and ready to prepare for the broadcast. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. See you then for ANZ Champs. I understand it's not at a good time for North America or even Latin American viewers. I know it's at an awful time for you guys, so I completely understand if you don't tune in and if you instead you decide to go to bed. It's understandable, but you know, you can always check out the VODs if you wish. And with that, we are done for the day. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We appreciate the support. Thank you so much for all the subscriptions. Thank you so much, Garbraham, for resubbing. Lord Logan for gifting 10 subs earlier. And yeah, with that, we are done for the day. And we will see you soon. When it comes to the CranKy Ducklings, our next broadcast here on this Twitch channel will be ESL Open Cup Americas. That'll be in a couple of days, so if you want to wait for that, then we will be there. We will not be casting ESL Open Cup Asia today, as unfortunately that does clash with ANZ Champs. So if you do want to tune in to ESL Open Cup Asia, Chicken Man, Steadfast, Beomorph, and who else? I think Pig. They usually cast ESL Open Cup Asia as well, so you know they can keep your attention until then. But yeah, it was a great tournament today. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.